Hello, I'm Nadira Hira, your MC for this year's SDG Global Festival of Action. And I'm so pleased to be presenting one of our very special Turning Point dialogues. On the heels of a year full of challenges, a global pandemic marked by economic, political, and social turmoil, we've seen dramatic shifts in how we think about living and earning, consuming, and producing. Things that were deemed too ambitious or expensive to entertain before now seem not just doable, but downright imperative, which means this incredibly difficult moment may also be a potentially unparalleled opportunity to build a more just and sustainable society. So how? How do we together make this a true turning point for people and for planet? Here to think about it with us is a UN Global Advocate for Spotlight Initiative, a multi-year partnership between the UN and the European Union that's working to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls. He also happens to be a South African rugby superstar and captain of the 2019 World Cup champion Springboks. Welcome, Siya Kolisi.
Thank you so much, Nadia.
Thanks for being here with us. So why don't we just get started? In considering what it might take to unlock the power and possibility of this moment, it's often said that when women and girls do better, the whole world does. And you've spoken so passionately about why men like you need to be at the forefront of the movement to end gender-based violence and discrimination and to achieve gender equality. So why has that been so important to you? And do you see any opportunities in this time of crisis to move the needle on gender equality and make 2021 a turning point for women and girls?
No, 100%. For me, it's really a personal thing because it's something that I grew up around, gender-based violence has been with me since I was a kid, from my mom to my aunt, who were the women that used to look after me and raise me. And also around the community, we saw it so often as kids that it became normal after a while, and obviously there's nothing I could do then. I was too young, waking up in the middle of the night with the screams. But I knew that wasn't a good thing. And then I got a bursary, then I moved into the suburbs, into a model school. Then I started seeing that, there's a different way of disagreeing with someone. You can have a proper conversation. If you're really upset, you can walk away. Not saying those kind of things don't happen. I just saw a different side of life. And obviously what was in front of me. Then I started seeing and said, no, okay, maybe this is the way going forward, for me. And then because I knew what it made my mom feel, I knew what it made my mama aunt feel, and the ladies that were helpless in the community, because everybody just moves past because they see so much that everybody just leaves, don't get involved in other people's businesses. And I think it hurt me a lot because those were the people that cared so much for me. Those were the people that sacrificed their well-being to make sure that I had everything, and they sacrificed. That's what I learned was sacrifice. They didn't care about their own being. All they cared about was making sure that I'm looked after. I'm getting a meal, and they had no pride. They would ask me to go next door, ask for food, where the men, if they don't have jobs, they will just sit at home, and expect the ladies to go ask the neighbors and everything like that. And I think during this pandemic, a lot has been, the spotlight has shined a lot of things that have been very bad before COVID-19. Everything has just gone worse, especially people struggling in the communities. And I think a lot of decisions are made by men, and women are not involved in it, which is not good because everything in this life affects everyone. And women are they are the best caretakers for everyone. They look after us, they nurture us. How will this world be, if women had to take charge, and I don't, when women are not asking to be treated better than everybody else, they just want equal treatment. And that's the most important thing. Most men are just scared and fearful, and they don't understand what it's gonna do. I look at it in my own household. I make sure my kids see that me and my wife are equals. My kids see that I can also clean, I can also cook. When my wife is busy working, I can do all these kind of things at the house, so that they know when they're older that if I can cook, if I can clean, they can also stand on their 2 feet. It actually makes you stronger. All the things that we fear as men is actually going to make us better human beings.
And I think the framing of this as a moment where we can see that, where we can see women leadership at every level, not just heads of state, but heads of households,
Yeah.
is really beautiful. And that vulnerability is incredible, and I think meaningful too. I have to tell you, I was lucky enough to be in Cape Town last year for a charity tennis match hosted by Roger Federer, where you appeared just to do the coin toss between Federer and Rafael Nadal. So not even to play. And literally, I have never seen a reaction like the one you got from the fans. Like the entire stadium, all 50,000 people were just so happy to see you. And you weren't even the point of the event. So I say all that to say that you're an icon in South Africa in a way few people anywhere can claim. And you seem to take that influence deeply to heart, as evidenced by the vulnerability you just showed. And after the World Cup win, I read that you said it would be huge to show our country that no matter where we come from, if we can bind to one plan, we can achieve our goals. But of course, like everything we're talking about right now, it's not always that easy. So what lessons do you think we've learned over this last year that might help us actually achieve transformative change? And do you have any thoughts for fellow luminaries, people with platforms like yours, on how to use their platforms to advance that goal?
I think I'll start there with, we have our platform because of people that follow us, and it's normally, it's everyone. It's people from different walks of life. It's sometimes people with your story and people who don't have the same story as you. And some of the people are struggling. And I think with our platform, we gotta make sure that you don't only use it for yourself. You gotta make sure that you put a lot of pressure on yourself. When you wake up, you gotta find purpose in your life, and you gotta wanna make sure that you wanna make the world better, or take it to smaller, make your country better, your community better. And we are all able to do something, no matter how big or small, and it can be affecting one person. That's all that matters. Stick to the person or to the group of people that you're working with, and we can all make a difference, And I think the unity thing is so important because we all have to play a part, and we all come with different perspective, different backgrounds, different races and different genders as well. We all have to contribute into society because we all live in it together, and every single person or every single race or group should be represented when people are making decisions, because it affects all of us, not just some of us. And that's the most important thing. Take the pride away. Put your own ego and everything aside. Just focus on how do we make it better for everyone? How do we make it better that everybody is looked after? And that's what the pandemic showed. We have to do so much more so that when something like this comes, we are all prepared, both for male and female, for kids as well. Because the way things are going, it just shows on how much we are so far behind and we're not prepared. If something like this had to happen again, we'll still be in the same place or things will be far worse.
Absolutely. And I'd love to just hear you reflect on people who are at the other end of the income and influence ladder, because you've spoken so beautifully about growing up in a township and making the transition that you did to superstardom. And I wonder, what do you think we can do to make sure that every stakeholder is engaged, not just people in leadership, but those folks who are living life every day and don't always have the luxury of getting engaged on these issues because the pandemic has put more pressure on them than ever before? What do we do to amplify their voices and support them?
Yeah, I think us with platforms, we gotta start, using it to share people's stories. And not everybody has foundations, but I think we all gotta step out a bit more. You gotta step into other communities that you normally go to. Go see how people live, go see why people are standing there marching and people asking for help. Just sit down, have a conversation, and sometimes a lot of the people maybe don't have the heart, but they have the resources, and then the foundation become, or we become the heart, because we know how to do it. And sometimes, if you invite someone over, they see and then they look at the situation, they're like, you know what, now I understand what's going on, and they can in a bit more. And also people in power, whoever, there's always people working under you, and you should see them as your partners, because at the end of the day, without them, you can't achieve all this wealth, all this greatness without them. You got to start making sure that you're looking after them and they're happy, and with that, and we can start building environments that people can stay in and they can wake up, their kids can wake up and not maybe aspire to be whatever it is their parents do, they can have options. People need options, people need choices, because we are so deprived of that in our communities, that's why we dream so little, we dream so less, and there's no buildings or things that we can aspire to, because there's nothing around us, and all you can think about is becoming like having minimum wage, because that's all that's around you.
And so broadening horizons, practically devoting our resources and our time to giving people options. I think that's beautiful. So lastly, I know firsthand what an inspiration you are to people around the world, but we would love to know what moves and inspires you. So is there a piece of art or music, a book, a podcast, something that inspires you that you think our festival participants should check out?
So for me, obviously my family, I really want to be the best husband as I can be to my wife, to make sure that, I think when I love my wife, my kids appreciate that. And, that's how I show them how much I love them. And also for my brother and sister, I want to be a good person. I want to be a good role model, because a lot of us don't get to see that from our parents. But I want to break that cycle to make sure that everything they need, they don't need to look at the neighbors. They can look at me as that example, even though I didn't have it. And I have difficult conversations with my dad and people that I grew up around to say, listen here, I know everything didn't go the way I would have loved it to go, and it's the same for them, because you can never get upset at your parents of the way, of everything that they've done, because they've been raised that way. That's all they know. So I've seen a different way, so I choose like that, but I still fight for the relationship with parents. And also like my community, the struggle really inspires me, because that makes me wake up every day to make sure that I fight each and every single day to make sure that the next kid doesn't go through what I had to go through. At least they have a couple of meals a day, and they can be in a better position than I was. And then they can also dream to be the South African rugby captain. They can dream to be the South African president, because people have broken barriers. That's why I don't just settle for anything. I just want to keep on improving, keep on getting better and breaking barriers, because now people have a reference points, and there's so many people who are doing great things, and I encourage them to keep on going, because you don't know what you're doing. You could be inspiring someone that you don't even know about. So let's keep on doing, let's all do our bit, no matter how big or small. And as young adults as well, let's fight to be better. Let's fight for places that we safe places for us to speak, to share, and be vulnerable, especially men in this day and age. Everything is done and choices are made by men. Let's be very, very, very like let's be aware of what's going on, the decision we make, and making sure that in households we are treating people accordingly. We're making sure that we're equals and we play our own part. Bringing money home is not enough anymore, because women do the same thing. We want to make sure that you are comfortable in who you are and you're secure. And if you need help, go and get help. When I need help in something, I go see someone, I go talk to someone, because that helps me heal inside. And the more I heal, the more I offload inside, the better I feel, and the better that I start treating other people. Because when you're so full and you have stuff that's been left behind by your dad, it's been came from your parents for different generations, you must unload all of that, unpack. And we're in a season of unlearning now and learning new ways of living life. So that's the most important thing. I'm always saying this season that we're going into, it's all about learning and unlearning new things, and no egos. And especially when it comes to gender-based violence and violence, we as men cannot be the problem and still want to be the solution. We gotta humble ourselves and ask the woman, is this right? Is this wrong? What can I do to be better? And then for ourselves, create safe spaces so we can share and speak our struggles and also the good things.
See, Kolisi, you could drop the mic now and that would be enough. I love the idea of a season of learning. I know everybody else out there does too. And I just have to say, we are so used to cheering on people like you for what they do on the field and what they do on television and what they do in the media. But it is lovely to be able to cheer for you for just being a human. So thank you for that. Thank you for being so vulnerable. We hope to see you again sometime here at the SDG Global Festival of Action. And we wish you all the best. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.